Nick Bosa got paid today. Nick Bosa got paid today. He got paid today. Nicholas John Bosa got paid today. The bank was open. Labor Day's over, and they send him the check. $34 million a year, 5 years, $170 million, $122.5 million guaranteed. It's a lot of money for my boy Nick. That is the man, the myth, the legend, the highest paid NFL defensive player of all time, Nick Bosa. His agent put the pressure on, full court press on Parag, and Parag said, you know what, we got to do it, man. I'm sure Parag was sick to his stomach, but hey, man, you needed to do it. And Nick Bosa, he got the bag today. He got a couple of bags, not just one, the Louis Vuitton bag. He got them all, man. Shout out to Nick Bosa. It's a good day. It's a glorious day. It's been a very, very good day, man. I'm hyped. I hope you guys are hyped. Let's go. How are we feeling? We feel amazing. We feel amazing today. The vibes are immaculate in the locker room. You had Fred Warner screaming like a school kid. I mean, this team is juiced, worth every penny. Sati says, I couldn't have asked for a better birthday gift today. Yo, happy birthday to Sati. Nick Bosa got paid on your birthday. Let's go. Show. Oh, my God. Throwback. I was screaming. So I had to, like, run out the door. People thought they were like, are you okay? And some people, they know, I run this page and all that stuff. And they were like, oh, shit, did you post it, Raj? Post it. They were going, because I was like, oh, Nick got paid. Because I said it. I was there. And they was like, what? Are you kidding? Because I saw the notification. And I'm like posting it. And they were like, what? What happened? Everybody's just going crazy at my job. Like, we were all hyped up. Everybody comes out. Like, all the nurses, they all like, Raj, he got paid. Oh, my God, bro. It was insane. I, like, ran out the door. I couldn't, because I had to go live for you guys. I wanted to, like, just be hyped with everybody. And it was a monumental moment. I loved it, man. It was a good day. It felt great in the Bay. Just a glorious day, man. I mean, because the stress, the drama, it was kind of overtaking this week one. Nobody was talking about week one. Nobody was talking about keys to winning. Nobody was talking about CMC and his first full year as a Niner. Nobody was talking about Brock Purdy being healthy. Nobody was talking about Fred Warner and everything else, and Debo and the captains. And nobody was talking about this stuff. And, man, that news dropped, and it was like, boom, everybody's happy. Mood has changed. It was a 180 switch. Everybody was so damn hyped up. And you know, the cool thing about it was everything just shifted. The momentum just shifted for the 49ers. All the drama, all the, like, black cloud that hung over us, it's like it just vanished. You know, and that's what I thought. Everything just vanished. And now we're in this, like, hyper mode, and we're excited. We got the best player back on this team. The Niners got their best defensive player, the captain. You could sense it in the locker room. Remember the other day we played the videos, and Hufanga and Gibson, you could just tell they're stressed, and the media's like, oh, you think he's going to play? They're like, oh, we got to prepare like he's not here. It was like a somber mode. And then today, Fred was high, Trent was high, Javon Hargrave, like, these players were screaming. They said Fred was screaming, running down the hallway, man. That's amazing to me. That's just like, he's a megastar, superstar, man. God, it feels good, man. You know, a lot of people, this is the thing. Jose says, I was ready to give up this morning. Thank God Bosa finally got paid. You know, I saw the Ian Rappaport this morning. Oh, you know, he's like, oh, you know, Nick Bosa's not showing up. Doubt in week one. Yo, Ian Rappaport, that man is bad boy. He's a bad boy. He created a lot of negativity, a lot of smoke. I don't know if it was smoke, but he was gassing the negativity. He was getting views. He was getting clicks. You know, I realized he has a new show on NFL Network, NFL Total Access. He has a new insider show. So he was trying to gas up, use Nick Bosa's views. He was tense. He was like salivating. Chris Jones news, Nick Bosa news, JJ, Burrow. Like, he's got his new show to promote. So he's sitting there saying, there's no Bosa. He's not coming. And everybody was so stressed. Bro, Adam Schefter over the top, from the top rope. Adam Schefter, breaking news. I got the real source. I'm plugged in. And Deanna Rossini and my mom and Jason Dumas. Those two guys, those two people. Sorry, not guys. Deanna Rossini, she's a female. Her and him, those two reports that came out earlier in the week that said the deal is closed, got a big deal on the table. Those were legit. Ian Rappaport, he was the only one reporting the other way. And Schefter today, over the top, man. Ian Rappaport, when he first tweeted the news, he said Joey Bosa. He edited his tweet. I go back to it, and everybody was sliming him today. Yeah, I love Ian. That's my guy. But today, he took the L. Adam Schefter took the dub, and the Niners took an absolute dub, man. Ian Rappaport said Joey Bosa. That's what happened at first. And I got someone hopping in real quick with me. We are on a hype alert. I got my boy in here. Let's get him in.
What up, man?
There
How's
he
it
is.
going?
That's my boy Rohan. Let me fix the screen here. How you feeling? Nick Bosa just signed today. It was a long-awaited signing, but how are you feeling, my man?
I'm feeling good, but I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie. There are some mixed emotions with this one. And it's
Okay.
not because of Nick Bosa, but we'll explain. But, I mean, overall, the sentiment is that Nick Bosa is here with the 49ers, and he's going to play week 1, which is very important because I honestly thought the 49ers, I picked them as losers in week 1 prior to the Nick Bosa news. Now that flipped.
So you got us winning now.
I do. I said it earlier today. I said I think the 49ers will win. I think it'll be a low-scoring game. Low-scoring game means you need those big plays, and I think Nick Bosa changes the directive of how this game's going to go.
Yeah, you're right. I said here the other day that it'll be harder for the 49ers to win. I didn't think they would necessarily lose, but I definitely felt like it would be a lot harder for the 49ers to win this game with Nick Bosa. He shifts everything for this game. He's their X factor. He's the difference maker. And this defensive line, the edge rushers, it just didn't have enough pop. When you look at that unofficial depth chart the other day, I was like, ooh, I don't know about that. I thought Kenny Pickett was going to have a lot more time. Now, Kenny Pickett's going to look like a second-year quarterback against this defense, I think,
And, I mean, when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, right, look at their tackles. It's Dan Moore Jr. and Chuma Okorafor, right?
Yeah.
Their tackles aren't as strong as their interior guys. You got James Daniels, and then you've also got free agent signing Isaac Seumalo. It's not like any of those guys necessarily are elite, right? Elite of the elite, but their interior guys, in my opinion, are better than their outside guys. And so what do you need? Or at least what provides you the biggest advantage? Having an elite weapon on the outside that you can go ahead and rush in addition to the interior guys the 49ers have. I thought that was huge, and I think this is going to allow the 49ers to game plan a little differently. Although I do wonder because, the 49ers they said it yesterday. They were game planning as if Nick Bosa would not play in week 1, while the Steelers were game planning as if Bosa would play. I wonder what game plan shifts there will be or how it will end up going.
That's going to be interesting to see because you're right. Because Tomlin, he's a smart coach. He knew that this could be something they still have to face. Nick Bosa signing it. It could be a reality. He wasn't a dummy, because a couple years back, TJ Watt signed at the 11th hour, 2 days before kickoff, and he had a heck of a game. So he knows that it can happen. So, you got to tip your hat to Tomlin. He's a gamer, he's a good coach. So we'll see what happens with shifting now that Nick Bosa is playing. I mean, it's going to be tougher for Pittsburgh, but I'm just excited. I think all Niner fans are hyped up. The contract record-setting, 5 years, 170, 122.5 mil guaranteed, 34 a year, $50 million signing bonus. Like, it's crazy. How does this affect their future, Rohan? I know you got the numbers crunched up. Is this good? I saw a lot of things today, like people were saying, oh, they're not going to be afford Ayuk. Like, my whole mindset right now is they got to worry about this year. You can't worry about that stuff next year. Brandon Ayuk still has to perform, whatever. But how does this affect them in the future?
And this is where I said I have mixed emotions because it's nothing to do with Nick Bosa. It's to do with the timing of this contract this contract extension, and this is also without knowing exactly the terms of the deal. We know some of the numbers. We don't know guaranteed at signing yet, and we also don't know how are the cap hits. Is it front loaded? Is it back loaded? Or are they mixing it up where year 1, year 2, is front loaded, less in year 3, year 4, and then a strong year 5? How are they mixing it up? That's something we don't know. However, I will say this. There was absolutely no change from today back in March. The demands for Nick Bosa have been the same. He wanted the 7.5 to 8% increase in average annual salary. He wanted guarantees in excess of $120 million or around the $120 million range. And I'm expecting the signing at guaranteed to be around the similar range to what his brother got, around 57% of the contract. That's what Joey Bosa got. So guaranteed at signing, I'm expecting to be around $98 million. I said initially, my initial numbers were it's going to be between $33 and $35 million a year. It's going to be over $85 million at signing and around $120 million in guarantees. It's very similar to what the deal was, but the point being, Nick Bosa doesn't care when he signs in comparison to guys like Chris Jones or Brian Burns. He's going to be the record setter. It's not any of those guys that'll be the record setter. It's Nick Bosa. The parameters for this deal have been set in place for over a year. TJ Watt was the last deal. TJ Watt was in 2021. He got $28.5 million a year, or $28 million a year.
It was
the
like
big
20.
one was Aaron. Yeah, I think it was 28, but the big one was Aaron Donald. That was done last year. Those are the two parameters.
That's 31 cents. And you know what's crazy? Nick Bosa went and got 34. Like, that is crazy. The Niners said, okay, we're going to just hit you with the money. You're going to reset the market. You're right. Chris Jones and Brian Burns, they mean nothing to Nick Bosa. Now they're going to look at this and say, okay, now we have a arguing point for that. He helped them in making their contract situation a little bit more clearer. But Nick Bosa, he absolutely crushed the mark. 31.7 to 34. That's a huge leap, man. I was like, wow, he crushed the market.
It is a huge leap, but that's expected. I mean, when you look at what Joey Bosa, he went from 25 to 27. That was an 8% increase.
Correct.
Bosa's is a 7.5% increase. Very similar. To me, the question is, the 49ers knew this were going to be his demands. It's also the Bosa family. There's not going to be a single change. Why wasn't this deal done? At least why weren't they approaching this deal much earlier in the offseason? Because one, Nick Bosa creates cap space. The deal, the parameters, if you sign this exact deal, you're going to create some more cap space if it's a backloaded deal.
Correct.
And two, now, guess what the 49ers did? They couldn't get this Nick Bosa deal done in time. So what do they have to do to create some cap space before the deadline today at 1 p.m.? Because Nick Bosa's deal isn't official yet.
No.
They had to restructure two players, George Kittle and Trent Williams. What does this mean? The flexibility for 2024 is out the window.
Yeah.
2024, the 49ers could have moved over them.
Yeah, you can't restructure them again. You just restructured it. Chances of them taking a restructure is slimmer. They might be able to do Armstead. I'm thinking, can they restructure an Armstead?
You can, but the issue right now is, and I don't have an issue with restructuring. I think it's smart because when you talk about a restructure, you're essentially moving money to next year, but it's at a lateral move, whereas the salary cap continues to increase. So it actually takes in, that percentage is a lesser percent of the cap that it takes in the following year. So it's smarter. It requires owners to give money up front, but it's smarter. However, with Kittle and Trent Williams, George Kittle was a guy who could have been expendable next year just to alleviate some of the cap concerns that you may have in the future. He had a cap hit of $19 million next year, and 50% of that only was guaranteed. So you could have traded him, gotten value, and saved $10 million. That's a possibility. Trent Williams, on the other hand, he may retire. The 49ers don't get off the hook if Trent Williams retired. They have to take in all of the dead cap remaining on his deal. And so restructuring it only increases the amount of dead cap that could occur if Trent Williams retires. So you're essentially pushing more and more money into the future, which is why I think this move only makes sense at this point if Nick Bosa's deal is front-loaded and you save some money on his deal next year, because usually it skyrockets in year two. If you save some money, then it makes sense. But if it's a backloaded deal, guess what? They could have done these moves in March and used the extra $20 million that you're going to save in cap space to get a player, because you just saved $23 million with these two, and you're likely saving $7 million this year in Nick Bosa if it's a backloaded deal. That's $30 million you could have used elsewhere. The 49ers decide to do this move now instead of back in March. And now, where are you going to use this cap space if not a trade?
Unless it's mid-season move, because they did make a CMC move last year. Like, in case, depending on how the season goes, if they need to make a mid-season move. But I agree with you. I think they did wait too long. I think they trusted their gut in saying, okay, we budgeted a deal. Whatever we were going to give him, he's going to sign. I think they thought whatever they were going to give him, which was probably about $30 million, I think they were like, oh, that's going to be good enough. But no, you're right. Nick Bosa and his family, they knew what they wanted. They stood on their ground. They didn't budge. The agent was tough, and they said, look, this is our number. Figure it out, basically. And then you're right. If they would have gotten to this negotiation a little bit faster, I think they would have realized, oh, wow, okay, they're being tough. We have to figure something out. And you're right. They could have restructured those contracts earlier. But, you live, you learn. But the 49ers, that's it, man. Prog's, he's kind of shrewd, And I think that today they learned a lesson and says, not everybody's going to sit there and take a lower amount of money. And that, we'll see what happens. I think it's an all-in move this year. You have a Super Bowl window because you're right. Maybe Trent Williams does retire next year. You don't know what's going to happen with Trent and Kittle down the line. So this was a big move that they had to make this year. And you win a Super Bowl, it's worth it. And I think we lost Rohan. He's gone. he's out of there. But I think it's a there he is. Yeah, it's definitely a move where it's all in. You got to win a Super Bowl because you don't know what's going to happen after this year. Because you're right, it could create a future issue with certain players. And I didn't know that about the retirement, that they're going to have to absorb all that in the cap. That's crazy. I have one question here. Does the $50 million signing bonus help with cap space at all? Do you know anything about that?
So the lower the signing bonus, the more cap space it creates, but it ultimately will still help with cap space. 50 million. It depends on how many years it's prorated.
Okay.
But if it's prorated over the 5 years as expected, that's 10 million per year. You're going to have a base salary. If it's a backloaded deal, you have a base salary of 1.035 million for Nick Bosa this year, meaning his cap hit will be around $11 million. Right now it's around 17 and a half. You'll save about $6 million this year if that's the case. However, they could also front load this deal and have a $30 to $35 million cap hit this year, given the amount of money they just saved. They could front load this deal as well. So you've got a couple of options.
Yeah, you're right. They got a lot of options, and they got a little bit extra money, like you said. Maybe they can go after somebody, but there's a couple of holdout players out there. Chris Jones, Brian Burns, bring them to the Bay, right? And then you got some real problems
Oh
down
man, that means you're going to have to go through this entire situation one more time. I mean,
Yeah,
Kyle did say he wants to pay a player every single year. So
it ain't happening, man. That's what a day, though, man. I was excited. Yeah, I'm just glad we got this done because I think the biggest takeaway for me is the locker room just shifted, man. You just see they were a little gloomy the other day, and everybody today was just hyped out of their mind. Fred Warner screaming, and everybody's just excited. You feel the mood in the Bays shifted. So I think it was a good day, Rohan. And I'm glad that you're picking the 49ers to win this weekend. You know, I'm a little disappointed that you had them losing, but I get it. I understand.
it's unfortunate, but I mean, I'm glad we're on the same page now, and we'll hope that reality comes true come Sunday in Week 1.
Yeah, I hope so too, man. I don't know what else to say, but I think this again. My other question for you now is, okay, we got Nick Bosa. We signed him. Obviously, Kyle Shanahan says he expects him to play unless he comes in with a beer belly. That's not Nick Bosa. What do you think? What do you think we're going to get out of Nick? You know, we haven't seen him practice all training camp. He never really practices, you know, in off season, preseason, training camp. I mean, do you expect him to take all snaps, or what do you think?
He should. I mean, we don't really know what Nick Bosa is right now. None of us have seen him. I think he should be a full go, especially given the situational advantage. Some people have asked, what would you prefer holding him out? I said this. I don't believe that the 49ers should hold Nick Bosa out because I said if they do, I think they'll lose this game. And I think if you lose one game, every single game matters, where one game is the difference between winning the number 1 seed and getting a first round bye versus not getting a first round bye. And then another game is the difference between the division and getting, a wild card seed. So I think it's all important in the long scheme of things. I think the 49ers should play Nick Bosa, and I think that they get a huge situational advantage if he plays as a full go.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, Nick Bosa is Nick Bosa. You don't have to worry about him being in shape. He's one of the most disciplined NFL players in the league. I mean, he's always chiseled out of stone, you know. So I think it should, I think it'll help him because you're right. In the NFC, the Niners need to get that number 1 seed. Last year, it bit them in the butt, you know, when they didn't have that number 1 seed. So I think getting off to a strong start this year is key because they have gotten off to very, very slow starts. And I think the Niners need to have home field advantage when it comes playoff time. Real quick, I know you got to probably head out soon, but question here now after breaking all the numbers and understanding everything, do you think they overpaid, Rohan?
No, there's no such thing as overpaying for Nick Bosa, especially when it comes to the parameters that he has set himself. This is in line with the market. I know a lot of people are going to look at massive extension, huge increase from previous things. This is in line with what the market dictates. The salary cap continues to increase every year, and player contracts continue to increase every year. You expected the 7.5 to 8% raise that Nick Bosa was going to get in the average annual salary, and that's what he got. You expected what the numbers that Nick Bosa got, because when you look back at it, what did Joey Bosa get in terms of guaranteed money? Those guaranteed money at signing, the increase, he went from 60 million to 78 million.
Wow.
That is a significant increase when you talk about it. That's a 30% increase. So we'll see exactly what it is. But overall, I don't think this is an overpay. Do I think Nick Bosa deserves this type of money? Yes, because this is top of the line money for a top of the line guy. And do we think this deal is going to ever be, someone's ever going to get higher than this? Yes, because that's the nature of the NFL. As the salary cap continues to increase, the player salaries continue to increase. Why? Because players don't amount themselves to a dollar amount. They amount themselves to a percentage of the cap, and that's how it kind of works, which is why I don't think this is a bad deal for the 49ers. But clearly, Nick Bosa is the clear winner of this one because they caved to his demands.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely. At this point, again, Parag, he had to swallow his pride and go in and say, okay, we're going to meet you at your demand, because that was what it is they were not budging. 49ers finally says, all right, we got to do it, man. We got to hit you at what you want. And it's tough situation for the 49ers, but I think he's absolutely worth it. Like you said, 25 in his prime of his career, and he's ready to, tear it up. And he's coming off a NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Like that is the best player in the league. And you're right, market increases every year, inflation, cap space increases, and players every couple of years, that number hits. It gets up higher. So Bosa set the market. Eventually, we're going to see someone break it. Maybe Parsons in a year. Who knows? Someone's going to break that. But for now, the market reset, and it happens every couple of years. So, I think the Niners were a little scared that they had to set the market because they've done it with certain players. But here we go, another 49ers setting the market, and now we got our best player, and I think it's ready to roll for a Super Bowl run, hopefully. And I think there is going to be a lot of pressure, though, on Bosa. He's got to come out and earn his money. So it's something that he can't just get his money and not play well. So I think that's the other part of it is Bosa now. He has to go and prove himself and show that, yeah, I was worth this money. So I'm excited for it, Rohan. I'm hyped up, man.
No, I agree. And I'll answer this question before I head on out. Asking, what is our cap space after the restructure? To my belief, we were at around $200,000, or maybe we were slightly over the cap space before the restructures. Okay. The restructures cleared up $23 million. I'm expecting, if this is a backloaded deal, for Bosa to clear up about $6 to $7 million. So you should see the 49ers be around $30 million in cap, which is why, to me, the timing of all of this is confusing. If you wanted to get $30 million in cap space, you should have done it at free agency. This deal could have been done at free agency. You get $30 million. Yannick Ngakoue's there.
I was just
going to sign an offensive lineman. You could be in the mix for a right tackle. There were so many different things, which is why I'm not happy with the 49ers with the way they handled this situation. Right. Understanding Nick Bosa's demands, you were never going to get him to cave. He was going to stay true to his demands, and he has the money. He has the monetary value for him to be able to do so, and hold out for a couple of weeks. The 49ers had to do this. They had to cave, and they should have done this much, much sooner in order to actually utilize the salary cap space at their disposal. The one way where I feel this move could work potentially, although I'm still not as big of a fan of the players they restructured, is if this deal is front-loaded. They use the extra $23 million in cap space to provide it to Bosa this year, or not everything, but a significant portion of Bosa this year. Put his cap hit around 35 million, so that the year two in 2024, when the 49ers are really facing cap issues, you have a low cap hit. And then also potentially in year 3 before it skyrockets in year 4 and year 5.
Man, I agree with you on that whole take you had. I just wish they would have got this done earlier, because if you created $30 million of cap space, the guy you just mentioned, Yannick Ngakoue, imagine if you had Bosa and Yannick on this D line. That's all I'm saying. With Hargrave, there's no way that you beat this Niners defense. There's no way you get past them, this defensive line. So I think the Niners are in good hands, but they could have been in better hands. But I get it. We'll see what happens. I can't question it. I'm happy that they got Bosa, but you're right. I think the timing definitely was awful, and I think they should have prioritized this a little more, because they knew who the agent was. They've known who this guy is. He's tough. He did the same thing with Joey Bosa. He also is the agent for Joe Burrow, and then this guy's tough, man. He's a big time agent, and if you did your research on him, you would have known this was going to be a tough negotiation. So I agree with that, Rohan. But yeah, any other things you got cooking this week? I know you got to head out. What you got to tell the faithful here, man?
Yeah, make sure you guys go subscribe to the channel. It's my name, Rohan Chakravarthi. We've got a fun morning show tomorrow, 10 a.m. Pacific with Ryan Hensley. We're going to have a fun show. Make sure you guys tune in. Subscribe to the channel because it's week 1. We have a lot of content coming pregame, postgame, all of that. But also, make sure you go hit up the boy Raj, both on Instagram and YouTube. Make sure you go ahead, give him a follow, give him a subscribe. But appreciate you, man, and it was a fun one.
Yeah, take care, man. I appreciate you. Make sure you go follow my boy Rohan, the heavy hitter, the hardest working man in 49ers media out there. I'm telling you, this kid grinds. And you know what? That's pretty dope. You got it. You and Ryan tomorrow. I'm going to have to check that out. So appreciate you, Rohan. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good rest of your night, my man. All right, that's Rohan. Man, I love that guy. He's young buck. He works hard, man. He works hard. A Niner content creating community. Got to respect, nothing but respect for Rohan. Yeah, but I think he's made some good takes. You know, he had some good insight. At the end of the day, man, the 49ers had to get this done. And Parag said, all right, we got to take care of it. And he did. So shout out to Parag for swallowing his pride. I know it was tough on him. And I think that the morale just shifted again. Mentality is so much better in the locker room. They needed him, man. The 49ers went from a good team to a top 3 team now with Nick Bosa back in the fray. You know, this team is really good. They have an amazing team, but it's just different with Nick Bosa, man. Yeah, Flood, Rohan knows his stuff for a young buck, man. Rohan, much respect. I've known him for a couple years now, and man, he's a cool guy to hang out with. You go to training camp, you want to stand next to Rohan. He knows everything that's going on. He's like a robot. He processes it all. I mean, sharp mind, good young man. I love Rohan. He's the man. Someone shipped Parag on the head last minute. Someone slapped Parag. Yeah, someone hit him up. You know, I heard Parag was sick to the stomach today, per a source. He was like so mad when he had to sign that contract. He doesn't like the agent. Agent played tough. But again, it goes back to the whole thing of the 49ers thought they were just going to march in there with their contract, show it. You know, they're going to come to the table. They're going to go to Nick Bosa, and they're going to say, here's your contract, buddy. Here's your contract. You know, sign it, Nick. That's how much we're giving you without question. And Nick Bosa stood on his ground, man. I'm proud of Nick for standing his ground and knowing his value, what his worth is, and the fact that he set the market. He set the market, man. That's you got to be proud. If you're Nick Bosa, he's worked his whole career, his whole life from youth till now. This man has put in so much work over the years. You've seen him from high school to college. He was a beast in college. He got hurt. He came back, came to the Niners, defensive rookie of the year. He got hurt, and he worked so hard to become where he is today, the defensive player of the year, reigning defensive player of the year. He deserves his money, man. I'm proud of Nick, man. I'm happy for the guy. Shout out to Nick Bosa. Now he's got to earn it. Now he's got to prove it. Well, he earned it. Now he's got to continue to prove he's worth that much money. 34 M's a year in the bank account. Man, what a lot of money. How are we feeling? Are you guys happy about this deal? Do you guys think it was a good deal? Let me know what you think in the comments. Drop a money bag in the comments, man. Drop a money bag because I'm feeling very, very happy about this deal. I'm happy the deal got done. I don't know about you guys, but I am feeling so good that this deal got done, man. Man. 49er Faithful says, when I saw Bosa was signed, I was happy as hell. That made my day. Thanks for all the input. Yeah, I think we all were, right? Sati says, Nick Bosa is one of 3 edge rushers in NFL history to win D-Roy, Depoy, and most definitely not overpaid in the first 5 years in the NFL. He's the man, man. His resume is crazy. It was a good deal. I think so, too. Anything less than $40 million, I'm happy. As long as he stays healthy, we good, for sure. I agree. Bleed red and gold. This dude don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I don't know who you're talking about, but Rohan knows what he's talking about. If you don't think so, to each their own, man. Much respect to you, but he works very hard. So if you don't think that Rohan knows what he's talking about, appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, my boy. The shit is over, Peter Parker. Yes, sir. Feels great, man. It feels good. A weight is lifted off our shoulders. It feels so good, man. It feels so good. Big time says taxes taking half of that contract. Taxes taking massive amount of money from Nick Bosa. I mean, that's why you got to have a big contract, right? That contract's going to definitely not be worth 34 after the taxes get its hands on it. So Hensley, I got respect for Hensley. I don't know. I don't hate on the other content creators, man. They all work hard. They all have an opinion. This is the thing, man. Whether you think people know something or not, they all have an opinion, and we all value each other's opinions. Like, you might not think myself or Rohan knows what we're talking about, but guess what? You have an opinion just like us, and we're all able to share it for free on the internet for you. So you got an opinion, we all got opinions, and that's why we do it. We love the team, and we want to share what we think. So it is to it is. Like I said, To each their own, man. We did it. We did it. It was funny, man. It's good stuff. Kevin Richards says Brian Burns, Chandler Jones, Chris Jones, or Joey Bosa with the new cap space. Well, like you never know. I don't think they make a move for any of those guys. It would be amazing. I think we got Bosa. We signed it and sealed it. We also got to remember you got to save some money for some players in the future. But yeah, that would be amazing if they get any of those guys. I'm sure we'd be all hyped, but I don't think any of that's gonna happen. So, can you imagine Joey and Nick together? Chandler Jones is going through stuff mentally. Rather not risk it. Yeah, he does have some stuff going on. So JR says, what were the Kittle and Trent contract restructures for? I mean, I'm sure that they needed it to get under cap compliance, right? They had to restructure some money to be in cap compliance, but also I think a lot of that money was to help get some money off the books so they can get Bosa in. You know, it was crunch time and they had to restructure those deals. So that's pretty much what the case was. So good stuff, man. Shout out to Kittle. Shout out to Trent Williams, man. This team, last minute, they pulled together and they got what they had. They did what they had to do to get Nick Bosa paid. You know, whatever it takes. And this team did what they had to take. John V says we paid him and we kept him, and that's at the end of the day what we all wanted. We all wanted Nick Bosa to get paid. We all wanted to keep him, and they did it. They did both things. They paid the man, and they kept the man. It's good. It was a stressful offseason, but now the momentum has shifted to the better. You know, it was a wild offseason. I'm not gonna lie to you. The quarterback stuff, the Sam Darnold, Trey Lance, the battle, then you name Sam Darnold QB2, then you trade Trey Lance. Like, it was a bleak off season, man. And then Nick Bosa was holding out, and it was stressing us. And this was a very, 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 very tough off season, and it ended up in a good way, you know. And I think now we're happy. Now we can talk about this team. Now we can talk about Sunday. Now we can talk about the 49ers going into Pittsburgh and being the favorites again, and going in there and imposing their will and going out there and showing why they're Super Bowl contenders, man. Now we can talk about Sunday and be happy. And we can talk about the captains. The 49er captains were named today, and you got to respect it. I'm happy. We got all the good news. We got all the bad news out of the system, and everybody was happy. Kyle was happy. All the players were happy. Like, to see Kyle Shanahan smiling today made my day. Like, this guy's been through so much stress. People have been throwing him under the bus, man. Yo, shout out to Kyle. The man was he was smiling ear to ear. He says he found out 3 minutes before he walked up to the podium. He was late. He said he was late to the press conference because they just told him as he's walking up, dude. Gotta love it. The squad was hyped. Yo, you see when Nick Bosa posted today on his Instagram, every player was like, Bosa, you know, Armstead, let's go. Lenore was dropping, Kyle Juszczyk, Trent Williams, Debo, Kittle. Everybody was hyped out of their mind. The team is just so happy, and now we can focus on Sunday. Let's talk about the captains, man. Now we can talk about score predictions. Now we can talk about everything that we've been wanting to talk about. We can actually get, you know, our minds wrapped around. This is week 1. The 49ers are a Super Bowl contender. We got all our players. Everybody's coming back. Yo, George Kittle was back at practice today. Ray McLeod, he looks like he's going to be back on Sunday. I don't know. The man broke his wrist. Nick Bosa signed. He says, yo, I'm good. Jake Moody's healthy all of a sudden. Like, Nick Bosa cured everything. Is Nick Bosa God? I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he touched everybody, and his news just shifted everything. He shifted everything. It's an amazing day when Nick Bosa came back today. It's crazy. Crazy. Look, I want to talk about the captains, shall we? You had Trent Williams named a captain, obvious choice. I mean, this guy's the captain of the offensive line. He's a leader. He's the best offensive line in the NFL. You got Fred Warner, easy choice. Obviously, you named Fred Warner captain. He's been a leader for his whole career. Even as a rookie, he was like a leader, man. He was out there. He was named the middle linebacker, the Mike linebacker in his rookie season, man, and he was controlling that defense. George Kittle, I mean, there's nothing much to say. We all know George Kittle's the captain and the leader of this team. Debo Samuel, I'm proud of Debo, man. Last year he came in. It was a tough year for him. You know, the contract situation, people were hating on him. They said trade him. They called him Diva Samuel. He came into camp out of shape. You know, last year he didn't have the best season. This year his mindset was different. He called himself out. He said he had a crappy season. He's been mentoring Ronnie Bell, and he really took it to himself to make himself better. Kyle saw that, man, and rewarded him. Captain Deebo Samuel. This guy, I'm happy for Deebo, man. He's come a long way from being a rookie, man. He's really become a nice veteran. You know, he learned a lot from Emmanuel Sanders, and I think that he's turning into that veteran we need, and he's a star player, too. So shout out to Deebo, man. Arik Armstead, the longest tenured player on the 49ers now that Jimmy Ward's gone. He deserves it. Good guy on and off the field. Gotta love Armstead, man. Good. I'm happy for him. And Brock Purdy, man, Mr. Irrelevant, last pick in last year's draft, rookie last year, second-year quarterback. They named him a captain. The quarterback is the captain again. This is crazy to me. Kyle Shanahan, he's stuck by his guy all offseason. They love Brock. That's his guy. That is his guy. He named him a captain, man. Brock Purdy. That is so dope to me. Brock, shout out to Brock Purdy, man. Glock Purdy. He has a cap. That's the ultimate sign of respect to name this man a captain. I was hyped for Brock Purdy, man. That is so amazing. And Kyle talked about it, how he said, you know, Brock Purdy earned it by coming in. And he was the way he spoke to the veterans last year, the way he commanded the huddle, the way he was able to pride himself on being sharp and professional and just being a leader out there. Brock Purdy, man, shout out. That's dope to be a captain. Man, so dope, dude. And you know, he had to do it. He had to do it. He had to seal the deal on Brock because he traded Trey Lance, and you told everybody this offseason, Brock Purdy's the leader of the quarterback room. He's the leader of that clubhouse. He said it. Remember Kyle Shanahan said, Brock Purdy's the leader of the clubhouse. He stood on that word. He stood on that ground. He says, man, 10 toes down, Brock Purdy's my guy. They went and traded Trey Lance, and now he's rocking with Brock, man. So you got to respect it. I respect Kyle for that, and I respect the hell for Brock Purdy, man. This is it. You got to love it, man. They're riding with Brock. It's dope. I like the captains. I think they're all deserving. Again, I was so happy for Deebo. That's my guy. If you guys know me, I love Deebo, man. I rocked with him last year when everybody was hating on him for that contract extension. And I'm glad he followed me back. We went live a couple times through the year, so I respect him putting my platform up. You know, he always shares posts on his Instagram, you know, from my page. So I always got respect for that guy. And we've talked a little bit here and there. Deebo's a good dude. So I was really happy. When I saw the Nick Bosa news, hype levels 1,000. But when I saw the Deebo news too, I was like, being a captain, that was something that I was like, you know what? That really made me so happy. I was just genuinely happy for Deebo, man. Good guy. And people gave him a lot of crap over the last couple of years, you know? So, do I think CMC should have been a captain? Yeah, I do, Jose. I think it could have been. He should have been. But, you know, he played half a year. And at the end of the day, these other guys have been on the team. And, you know, you can make the same argument for Brock Purdy. He didn't play a full year. But I think that was more of a Kyle Shanahan pick. That was Kyle stamping his approval of Brock Purdy because they traded Trey Lance. If you don't name Brock Purdy a captain, you trade Trey Lance, that makes Kyle look bad. So Kyle had to name Brock Purdy. Do I think that CMC should have been a captain? Absolutely. I do. But I think he'll earn it eventually. I think he is a leader in that clubhouse. But, man, I think you can't argue with CMC over any of those guys. I wouldn't, you know, Trent Williams, he deserves it just like CMC. Fred Warner, George Kittle. You know, Deebo, man, he really turned himself around this offseason. He came in, he told Kyle, yo, I was fat. You know, he was showing Kyle pictures of his abs, like he's in shape. I think Kyle realized, like, man, Deebo really grew. He matured. And Armstead, like, this guy has been on this team for a long time. He's been through thick and thin. Got to respect it. And he's a Walter Payton Man of the Year award off the field. So, you know, I respect all of them. Definitely CMC should have been a captain. But we have a good group of captains this year. So the players vote, but I honestly think that Kyle probably really, really pushed for Brock to be captain. And I just that's the vibe I feel, you know, the way I see it. But yeah, players vote for captains. Any money left for O-line? Yeah, they got money left. They got some money left, but we'll see what happens. Kevin says he's actually surprised Brock was named a captain over CMC. I mean, I think you had to make Brock Purdy. I think that tells you. Brock Purdy being a captain tells you everything you need to know. That's why he's QB1, man. This team rides with him. They ride or die with Brock Purdy. I honestly think like that move was huge for this team. It was definitely a surprise when I saw it. I was like, oh, but I can understand why. I mean, CMC, man, great player, amazing. He's the best player on this offense, but to say a running back is your captain is hard for me to say that, because I don't know, running backs, the value of a running back in these NFL days is just not the same. Again, in Kyle Shanahan's offense, it's way different. The running back is so important right there, a run heavy team, and he is a leader in his own right. But running backs just they don't have the same weight as they used to. But in Kyle's, it's different. But again, Brock Purdy, man, you got to respect him for everything he came through last year. He battled through the injury, and I think this team really rallies behind Brock Purdy. And Kyle loves this guy. So it is definitely a good day to be a 49er fan, Charlene. It's been a monumental day. I'm so happy today, man. You don't even understand. I was just hyped out of my mind today. Great day. Great day to be a Niner fan. Niners are going all in. They absolutely are, Showboat. They are going all in, all the way, baby. You gotta love it, man. It's good times, though. It is good times. I will take a few more questions. I'm going to hop off. I'm actually going back on Instagram. So I'm going live with Jake from Uncovered NFL. We're going to talk about some stuff. I might get the quad box on there, so we're going to hop back on over there. But it's been a great day. I appreciate your guys' support. Thanks for all the likes, the views, the clicks, and this and that, and the support and retweets, everything, man. I truly support the fans. I love you guys. It's great to see the fans hyped up and happy, and and everybody sees the news, and we're all just in a good mood, man. And I think we all want to win the Super Bowl. We want to see the 49ers win a Super Bowl, and I think this is a great day for us. It's a monumental mood shift. Everybody's just in a good mindset. We needed it, man. We needed it. My man Peter Parker says, "Can I party with you in Vegas? Come down, man. We will have a huge party." Flood says, "Ross Dwelly for captain. That's my wife's pick. She loves him. I don't know. You might need a blocker from Ross Dwelly's IG page, man. I don't know. Just check. Make sure she's not DMing that guy, Ross the boss." Love you too, John. Raphael, let's go. Like and subscribe. Niners kept Nick Bosa. What a day, man. Raphael, appreciate you. Number one defense, man. Back in the Bay. We're good. Sati says, "Although Jimmy was a captain, I never seen Kyle trust the quarterback more than Brock since Kyle has been here." I agree, man. And that, to me, is the biggest takeaway is Kyle Shanahan, this whole offseason, you just see that he trusts Brock Purdy so much, man. He trusts Brock Purdy so much. I have never seen him be this smitten over quarterback since Kirk Cousins in Washington. He loved Kirk Cousins like a son, and I think he likes Brock Purdy like a son. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm out on YouTube. We'll be back a little later live. I appreciate you guys so much. Again, thank you for all the support. I love y'all. Have a good rest of your day. And if you want to see some more, tune into Instagram. Y'all have a good night, man. Appreciate you. Nick Bosa got signed today.